Welcome back to my workshop. Now today's a very quick video, but it's going to be quite specific. You may find it interesting, you may not. Now this is in reply to one of my subscribers has asked me a question regarding this table saw. Now this is the SIP 10-inch cast iron table saw. He has one exactly the same. His name is Ray. Now he's got a problem with the rise and fall mechanism. Now when he undoes or when he lowers his mechanism, basically the handle unwinds. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a look inside and see if we can assess what's going on. So the first thing we need to do is get the side off. Well, that's the side off. I think we need to give it a bit of a vacuum out. Right, so I've given this a good vacuum out now, just using my normal shop vac. I thought there's a lot of sawdust in there. Now, why is there a lot of sawdust? Well, the reason is my hose come off. So I'm going to fix that while I'm inside. It's always a good idea to vacuum out the inside because you don't really want a lot of sawdust around the motor, just in case it might be a bit of a fire hazard. Right, let's get on to the bit that Ray is interested in. Okay, so on this machine, the raise and lower mechanism, I'm going to turn the handle. Let me just show you this handle here. Okay, this is the raise and lower. This one is the angle. Okay, but I'm going to turn the raise and lower and you can see how the mechanism works. Basically, there's a worm screw, which is this bit, and a worm wheel, which is this bit. Now, as you turn the handle, basically it turns the worm wheel, which lifts up the whole of this carriage. Now what's happening with Ray is as he's lowering it, it's basically this wheel isn't moving, but this screw is unscrewing. Now the only thing that stops those that unscrewing is there's two nuts. Okay, nothing spectacular, it's just two nuts. Now these two nuts are locked together, okay, so each nut is locked against each other, which stops them coming undone. So what I'll do is I'll quickly take those two off and have a close look and see if it does the same thing. Okay, so there's both the nuts now removed. Now let's see what happens. Okay, as I lower it, it's probably not until it gets right down to the bottom. Yeah, you can see there it's starting to unscrew. Okay, I won't go any further because I don't want to break my machine. So that's what the problem is. It's just those two nuts. Now what I'm probably going to have to do is raise it all the way up. Okay, and then get my nuts back on. Right, so before we put it all back together again, let's have a quick look at the actual nuts that I've taken off. Now these are nothing special. These are, obviously you need a 19mm spanner for these. I believe these are M12s, okay. Nothing super special about them. They're not very thick, okay, so they're about 7mm thick. Okay, obviously if they were too thick then you wouldn't have enough thread to actually lock them together. Okay, but these go on, one nut goes on, then you put the other one on and then tighten them against each other and that locks them solid. Now if you can't get these, an alternative would be to get one of these, which is a nylock nut. Okay, it's got a ring of nylon inside which grips the thread and that should stop it vibrating loose. Okay, so you could possibly get away with one of these a little bit thicker. Okay, but the ideal solution is these two fellas. Okay, right, before I put it all back together, I've given it a quick squirt with this, which is a lubricant, but it's got PTFE. Now, the reason I use that is because it lubricates it, but you don't get the sawdust sticking to the oil. Okay, so that's just what I use. So while I'm here, let's do that. All right, let's put these back on. Okay, so these are tightened up now. What I did is, first off, I tightened up the back nut, or the inside nut, too much. Then I couldn't turn the handle. So what you got to do is leave a teeny tiny little bit of space, probably less than 1mm, before you lock up the outer nut. Okay, because otherwise that way it makes it too difficult to actually turn the handle. But this now is all tight. Okay, mechanism's okay. Right, and I think that answers your question. Right, guess we better put this back together. Before I put the side on, I'll just put a new clamp on here, or a new clip on this hose here. Hopefully that will stop it getting so sawdusty. Right, let's get the side back on. Right, so it's now all back together, the side's back on, it's all lubricated up, it's all tightened up, everything should be fine. Just make sure it raises and lowers the blade okay. It's actually a lot better than it was before. So, luckily, answering this question has made my table saw better. Excellent. Right, so that's it for this one. Hopefully you found some of that interesting, if you're still watching. If not, at least hopefully, Ray, I've answered your question, and I hope you have some luck with your machine. Okay, thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.